Hello, I'm Louisa Deasey, and in this video I'm going to talk about how book advances work because I don't think a lot of people understand how traditional book advances work, and it's also going to empower you to make the right decision about. So most people think that the book advance is just like a sum of money for your manuscript and then you're going to start going into royalties straight away. No, you need to pay back the book advance first. Now, not many authors actually go into royalties. I can't remember the statistics. It's something like, it's something really low, like only 5% of first-time authors ever go into royalties. My first book never went into royalties because it didn't sell out the number of copies that would need to pay back the advance. So you will get a statement every 6 months after publication. Some publishers, I think, do it every 12 months, either every 6 months or every 12 months. You will find out how many copies of your book have sold and how much more of that advance needs to be paid back. Once the print run that needs to be covered sells, you go into royalties. So you will receive something like, I think it's 10 or 20%, depending on what your agent or what has been negotiated with the publisher, you'll receive 10 or 20% of each copy of the book. So let's say your book retails for $30, you'll receive maybe $3 to $5 per book. And with ebooks and Kindle, it's different as well. Generally, highly discounted books and promotional things, like if Amazon has put it on Kindle for $1.99 and a lot of copies have sold, you may not see any of that money in your royalties statement. It really depends. But so that's one piece of the advance that you really need to understand, is you need to sell a certain number of books to actually go into royalties. And this is what I didn't really know and understand when my first book came out, and so I didn't understand how much I would need to contribute to the promotion and the marketing side of things. And so this is why that book really didn't sell as much as I would have liked it to. It still sold relatively well, more than the average. The average book sells 400 copies in its lifetime. Pretty bad. And so this is also another reason, because I know an author who had a massive advance for her first book, and not only did she never go into royalties, but she cannot get another book deal, because every publisher, if you pitch another book, every publisher will be able to access the sales figures from your previous books. And they saw that she's basically still in debt to the publisher for her first book. And so that's not a very good sign about how well a second book will sell. So this is why I'm not necessarily pro getting a big advance. I think a modest or low advance is actually better for you, particularly if it's your first book. Then you can go into royalties a lot quicker. You only need to make sure you've sold, a fraction of the number of copies that you would if you got a 6-figure advance, for example. And it also means that it looks a lot better for the future, for future publishing pitches and proposals. But you've got to understand that the advance is only one part of the revenue streams that you will make from your book. And if you have an agent, for example, or if you're really good with negotiating other sort of contracts and themes, other contracts and things, you will be able to make money from other aspects of your book. So things like movie rights, it doesn't even need to be made into a movie, movie and screen options. They pay you for a particular amount of time that they get to hold onto the option to produce your book into a film. So, some authors have made over $100,000 from just having this option extended 3 years, 6 years, 9 years, even when the book wasn't made into a movie. You will also make money if your agent or your publisher sells the audio rights. So that could be even more than your book advance. You will also make money if your book is turned into, let's say, a mini series or any other kind of screen thing. And yeah, and reprints, of course, that's another way that you will make money. So if that first print run sells out and the publisher turns it into reprints it with a different cover or in a different territory, this is another one that's really good. Some authors sell into 11 to 33 different territories, and they get a sum per territory release. So there are so many other ways that you can make authors receive money other than just the book advance. So focusing on getting a 6-figure advance may not necessarily be the best idea for you. I really don't agree with, it's not that I don't agree with it, I just think it's very, very, very risky to get a massive advance for your first book, because if you don't sell, masses of copies, you won't get a second deal, and it also just, you'll never really see any more money for that book. And if you want a longer career in writing and publishing, then you want to make sure that your sales figures are looking good for every new proposal. The other thing I want to talk about with advances is how they are structured. So you will receive your book advance in parts. You will not receive, I think Cheryl Strayed talked about this in one of the interviews. So everyone was like, oh my God, she had $100,000 advance for Wild. And the good thing about a big advance is it generally shows that the publisher is going to invest in quite a bit of publicity and marketing for you. That is one good thing about a big advance. But let's say it's $100,000. You will receive that in either 3 or 4 payments. So these could be spaced out over 2 to 3 years. So, if you think about that, that's $30,000 a year-ish if you receive a $100,000 advance. How it's structured is you will receive a portion upon signing the contract generally, or in my case with a letter from Paris, I received a portion upon signing the contract. And then you will receive a portion upon submission of the manuscript. And so this protects the publisher from you not submitting any work. And then you will generally receive the final portion of your advance within weeks of publication. So decide whether or not you're going to go with certain publishers, if an agent is really in your best interests or not, whether you should choose a small boutique press or go with one of the top 5 publishers. I don't think one is better than the other. It just really depends on what your goals are. So I talk about all of these in my programs in more depth, and I also have lots of free resources which I will link to below. But let me know any questions that you have that I haven't answered here, or your biggest takeaways from this video on book advances.